Hey, what is up, everyone? It is Rich. All right, welcome to Super Fun Sunday. Today, we are going to look at Travis Charest. Um, Lots of requests, kind of over and over again over the last few months, for me to return to Travis's stuff, and doing the Joe Madureira and then J. Scott Campbell video. It just felt right, like the timing kind of felt right to hit, a very influential and very, very cool comic book artist that mainly worked in American comics, although he did actually do the Meta Baron book. But so I shot an hour long video of this on Wednesday, and watching it back last night, I realized that I didn't have much Space Girl in it, and in fact, it was like because I did the video in kind of a random order. It just didn't completely work for me. So what I thought I would do is I'm actually going to do it again. We're going to go kind of chronologically in order throughout his career. But I would definitely say, if you're not a member of my Patreon, go sign up and check out the other video. It's really, really good. But we'll see different images here and probably get different stories along the way. So anyway, I pulled up this. This is the only piece that's going to go out of order. Overall, I'm painting in broad strokes, but this is a C23 cover. It was done probably in around 1998, 1999. Really, really great piece. Travis had moved from wash to adding watercolor pencil on his work, and really was achieving a high level of quality and cool factor. So anyway, we're going to roll the clock back a little bit. We're going to move to about 1992, when a young Canadian dreamer grabbed the microphone. No. All right, let's get to this. So I grabbed a little bit of Dark Stars. We have a little bit of Green Lantern Quarterly, and I think a little bit of the Flash Annual. This is from which issue? 6. Okay, so Travis, to me, it looked, if I was going to guess, Dark Stars 4 may have been his first work at DC. Now, this is only a guess based on the skill level and actual drawings themselves. You can see as he went through Dark Stars, and in particular when he got to issue 6, his skills had actually improved quite a bit. Now, it is possible that there was a Flash short story, there was a Hulk story that he did for Marvel. It's Hulk and Thing arm wrestling. Those may have been done before. The only thing that's a little weird, there's a longer Flash annual. I don't want to stick too long on the DC stuff because we've got a lot of work to see. But the only thing that I thought might have affected his work back then, where it was a little bit inconsistent, is the deadlines. He may have been able to draw well with a little bit more time, and then if he was rushed, like any young artist, when you're kind of working things out, the quality of the work can suffer based on just the amount of time that you have. So anyway, this is Scott Hanna Inc.'s really, really nice piece, honestly. And people will be quick to point out that this is the Jim Lee style. If you really look at Travis's body of work, his Jim Lee style only lasts about 1.5 to 2 years. He moves through it really, really quickly. He basically worked kind of up to it at DC, did kind of like one book at Wildstorm, the Wildcat Special. And past that, I mean, by Wildcats 15 and 16, he really wasn't drawing like Jim. There was a little bit in it, but it's way overblown, to be honest, compared to like serious clonage. But he definitely learned a lot of his comic book ciphers from Jim. The only thing, though, this is one thing that I've recognized in his work, and I've always been curious to ask him about it, is I definitely got the sense, in particular on the Flash annual book, you could tell that he was trying to draw like anatomy, and I've always wondered what anatomy book he was using, because it's like Flash's body looks more like an anatomical reference than comic book. But this is a real nice Dark Stars cover. He did about 9 Dark Stars covers, but only 4 comics. He did issue 4, 5, 6, and 7. 6 to me is the best. 7 looks like he's kind of wrapping up the job, and either he was about to go to Wildstorm, or he may have been taking on the Flash annual. I've never been sure of that. And the thing is this is one thing you have to realize, is just because books come out in a certain order doesn't mean that they were drawn in that order. I'm basing it on his skill level and the quality and the knowledge base that he had, more than, oh, this one came out and da-da-da. This one came out 2 months later. I mean, obviously, there will be that to take into consideration, but sometimes you do a book, and like I have a Vampire Hunter D book that I inked 4 or 5 years ago that's just about to come out now over Ryan Benjamin. It just happens. I mean, that's unusual. I've never had anything take that long, but that's just the way it is. But yeah, we have a 110-page book that no one's ever seen that I finished years ago. So this is a Dark Stars, I think 8 cover. I really like this one. I think it's a great original. Really, really nice detail and just a cool looking piece. This is nice too, and this is when you really start to see like what it was is he was improving what he was doing, but there started to be a confidence in his work. And what's interesting is little did we know this confidence would turn into massive, massive drawing muscles, where he ended up being really kind of one of the best comic book artists to come through comics in the last 30 years, I think, easily. And the thing with Travis that you have to understand is that there are people that have taken ideas from him, and he got his ideas from other places too. Travis at his peak really drew most of the stuff out of his head. That's what's so incredible about it. It's one thing to take 3D models and put like a nice spit shine over them, or to do other techniques that some of the people that mimic his work do. But he drew this stuff. I mean, Tom McWeeny saw it. I saw it. I mean, he could sit down and literally create magic with a pencil and a few pens, and it was phenomenal to see. You know, you could almost say it was like seeing a magic trick, and you were like, I don't understand how you're doing this. So that's a slight difference with him, is that he almost had like a savant like quality. So this is real nice. This is a Batman cover. He did about 4 or 5 Batman covers. They're all actually real nice. And they're in this style. This is Ray McCarthy's inks, which you'll see Ray on a couple of pages of a Wildcat short story that he did, coming up in a second. But this is nice piece. Azrael, Robin. Okay, now we are going to move into his early Wildstorm work. Kind of organized at this time. Now, this isn't exactly in order, but you'll get a sense of what his work looked like when he got to Wildstorm. So this is a little bit later. This is 94, so he had been at Wildstorm for a year or two now. He did a series of Wildcats pieces that were kind of smaller size, like single shots of the characters, that they kind of used for like a little bit of like a print set kind of thing. And they're all really nice little spot illustrations. He penciled and inked them himself. And I don't know the circumstances. In 94, he would have been probably on like Wildcat 16. Seems odd that he would have had time to do extra work, because he was kind of in the hot seat at that point, taking over Wildcats. So I don't really know. So this is from, it says Wildcats 14. Wildcats 14 ultimately ended up being the Eric Larson Switch month, when the Image creators switch books. So this is actually from Wildcats 15, but this is Santini. Really, really cool piece. I mean, you can see how much he's improved already. At this point at Wildstorm, he had probably done around 70 or 80 pages on top of his body of work at DC, because he had completed a Wildcat special and a bunch of odds and ends. And this to me doesn't look anything like Jim. I mean, this is like got like a little bit of maybe. I'm not even gonna try to guess, but he's changed the rendering. He's using more blacks. It's more graphic. The layouts really aren't very Jim Lee like, and his storytelling isn't very Jim Lee esque. So, because that, in my opinion, that's highly overblown. But he definitely at one point had it, but it's like literally a very small percent of his career, to be honest. We talked about it one time, or no, I mean, I know that he had said to me, he said that he never looked at Jim when he was drawing, but when he wasn't drawing, it was the stuff that he would study the most when he was learning. And I get that, because what happens is you spend all day drawing, and then you're trying to work out problems in your own stuff, and so you start to see things in your own work. But see, again, this is from issue 16, I think. 16 or 17. But you can see, look at how stylized the rendering is now. It's just, most people that are fans will recognize the evolution in his work. I mean, and he's gone through 6 or 7 at least versions of himself, and he's on a new one now, and I'm sure in 5 years from now it'll have changed again. So, that's the thing with this guy is it's a little unpredictable, to be honest. This is Trevor Scott inks. At some point, we may see the Ray McCarthy page from this story, but there was 2 inkers on this. So there was 2 short stories that Travis did of Wildcats, which was from issue 8 and issue 9. The issue 9 story is Voodoo. The issue 8 story is Warblade, and Tom McWeeny inked the other one. But this is definitely Trevor Scott's inks, in my opinion. It looks just like how Trevor would ink. Okay. This is from the Wildcat special. And this is when he was probably at the pinnacle of his Jim Lee-ness. And this is a great book. It's really, really nice. And this is Scott Williams inks, which definitely, I'm sure, helped push it into that way. But yeah, this is going to be nice, I think, showing this in order, or closer into order. So this is a real nice trading card piece. I said in my other video that I feel familiar with the piece, and yet seeing it in black and white, it didn't completely connect with me as something. But it's a Wizard Wildcats card, it says up here. Maybe I don't have it. Scott Williams inks on this. It's really nice. And then a little emp on the back of the card. Get the headshots. From what I could tell, when he was first hired at Wildstorm, he did 5 or 6 prints, pinup prints. And this is, I believe, probably one of the first times that Troy Hubbs inked them. And he did 1 character shot of each of the Gen 13 kids. So there's a Grunge, Rainmaker, etc., etc. And they're cool. They're all a little different, and you can kind of feel him sort of feeling out his style, but he's improving now, kind of in leaps and bounds. Be real curious of what the artists at Wildstorm thought as it kind of went along. I got hired. He was working on probably around Wildcats 25-ish, somewhere around there, maybe 21, or maybe he had just finished 21. This is from, I think, 16 or 17. I think this might be 17. It's kind of like it sort of spotlit each individual character for a few pages. Really nice void. I really liked Troy's inks on Travis. It's probably some of my favorite stuff of other people inking him. I mean, everyone that worked on him did a great job, but I think my fandom, buying it off the stands, I have like nostalgia towards this stuff. So I really like Troy's inks for a long time. So this is Alex Garner inking J. Scott Campbell, Jim Lee, and then Travis. And this was, I don't know, maybe for Wizard or some sort of Wildstorm spotlight cover kind of thing. It's a nice piece. 3 legends, all collaborating on one awesome image. This is the one that's Ray McCarthy's inks, and this is from the Warblade story. And again, you can see that he hadn't really, this looks definitely before the Wildcat special, because he's not rendering the faces. He's trying to figure out what to do. And this is pretty nuts, honestly. The lighting on the face, this is hard to do. Not even that it's hard as a technique. It's hard to draw something like this if you're not used to seeing a lot of black on a face and have it look normal. This is what I found, is putting a lot of shadow on faces. It starts to really change the way your faces look. Yeah, it takes a little getting used to. Okay, so now we are going to get into what I considered his later Wildstorm work. I called it, but it's not really just later, but he's been at Wildstorm now for a little while. The aspect ratios on a couple of these are tweaked. I'm going to have to transform them. It's not a huge deal, but the way that the scans came. So this is a New Horizon piece. These were done in around 1998. He did a series of 8 covers with different Wildstorm characters, Wetworks, Gen 13, Divine Right, Backlash. Like there's a Taboo character named Rose Tattoo for Stormwatch. This is Divine Right. This cover actually published without the color on it. So at some point, I think for him to match up the other covers, he went back and colored this one. So this wasn't colored initially. But maybe after he had done 2 or 3, he came back and colored this one. Most of them, well, I think 2 of them were originally done in this like grayscale. Maybe only one. This may have been the first, and then he would test out color and do like he would color like lights. That was like his first foray into like dropping a little color in. Just little bits and pieces of color, and then he just went for it full on. These are real cool. It's neat. It's got like almost like a manga type quality to it. We used to jokingly call this Travis Tech. It's heavily Star Wars influence. Not all of it, but some of it. And then this is from Wildcats 25. Some of my favorite comic book storytelling stuff that he did, or I don't know if storytelling would be the right word, sequential, I'll call it. But I really liked this style. I liked how clean it was. I liked the graphicness of it. It was stylized. It had a little bit of like a Mignola vibe to it, and it just looked cool. I mean, this is some of my favorite stuff from him. Lots of little detail in the faces. You can see maybe a little bit of the Mobius sort of influence creeping in a little bit. This is nice. This was the last page of Wildcats 25, and they statted in the cover for Wildcats #1 that Jim Lee had done back here, kind of behind her, sort of like a reflective moment of her. It's like, we've come so far, and yet we have so far to go. All right. Spartan. This is from 26. Wildcats 26. Spartan, written by, I think, Alan Moore on these. It's a pretty trippy story. It's just him flying around, and at the end, there's like a pretty big plot twist with voodoo. It's cool, really like nice, very very different. In particular for a Wildstorm book, to be honest, you just didn't see a lot of stuff like this coming out of Image Comics. You know, this was pretty mature at the time. Most people were, still like, well, the transition at this point was I'll call it Bigfoot art, but like the Humberto Ramos influence, or J. Scott Campbell, or even Matt Herrera hadn't completely blown up like across the board. He was gaining momentum, but you had a lot of people drawing like super cartoony styles, and so this was really different in 97, 96, 97. That was kind of the direction that the people that were drawing like Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri, etc. started to head. This is a cover for Wildcats 18. I mentioned in the other video, there's a double page spread that he did that has almost this exact same shot over to the right. That's actually kind of a cooler drawing. This looks a little rushed to me. I always felt like it felt a little unfinished and maybe a little hurried. But he got it right in the comic. But it's still a really cool cover. It's very Star Wars-y. This is from our series. This is Wildcats 8 cover, maybe 8 or 9. This is Pike on the left side. No, I'm sorry, Pike on the right side and Warblade on the left side, like a split down the middle. Really cool idea. I would be curious if I don't remember if they asked for specific things on the covers or if he just came up with this, but I think it's really cool, kind of different. And if you don't know, you might think it's one character. I mean, in particular in black and white, it just looks like maybe a weird costume or something. But yeah, it's 2 different characters. Really, really cool though. Good stuff. This is from Wildcats 25. I've actually seen I don't know if it was a scan of the pencils or something like that, but he jokingly wrote, like, next to this, I have no idea how to draw backs. And if you look at it, I mean, you can actually tell that was a blank spot for him. There's just a lot of shenanigans going on back here, but it's not a big deal. Still looks cool, but I mean, the left side in particular over here doesn't even match the other side. But yeah, I mean, he's got the big shapes down, but It's a little random back there. I like it though. I mean, I like the piece. Really good. Okay, I need to transform these. Uh, they get sort of distorted because of the file aspect ratio on it. So this is from Wildcats X-Men Silver Age, Golden Age. I think it's Golden Age. Really, really killer stuff. I mean, this was very unexpected from him, as many little twists and turns of his career were. But he was getting into that heavy duty kind of pen and ink stuff and very detailed. And this is before the New Horizons pieces, to be clear. So he hadn't done the hand colored pieces yet. But this is him, I mean, coming up with really kind of a new look for himself, which was he had started to do more detailed black and white art. You remember that, Kitty? Okay. And then he started adding wash and painting them with the white and stuff like that. And in my opinion, this is really kind of what got the whole Copic craze going, to be honest, because nobody really was drawing with Copics at this time. At least in American comics that I had seen. And Adam Hughes started doing Copic drawings that I think were inspired by this. And then between Travis and Adam Hughes, that's when this became a really, really popular look. And I mean, so many people attempted to emulate this look from Travis. You remember that too, Kitty. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. She's very protective of this era of Travis. Guns are great. Faces are great. The attention to detail in the costumes is just awesome. And yeah, these are real nice. So let's continue, friends. We've got more. All right, let me transform this one too a little bit, just to get it so that it's not all stretched out. Okay, come on. All right, so this is a 16 panel page. Not super common, again, in Image Comics at this time. You figure Hitch and Frank Quietly, I think, were the next wave of like bridging the gap between more poppy sort of storytelling and then things that we're getting for this younger generation, we'll call it, like the evolution of a real poppy trend. It was like pop music started to turn into more serious comicking. But the early 90s was all like, it was still high quality. I mean, Jim Lee and Silvestri, those guys were drawing really, really well. But, there was a fun kind of action movie sort of thing to it. By 98, 90, 97, I think, started the transition. And it became a writer's business after that, which is something that I've continually fought for artists on my YouTube channel for 7 or 8 years now, telling all of you, create original content. You know the history of comics. You don't want to be someone that dies spending your whole life drawing other people's characters with nothing to show for it. Draw something that you own. Create something that you own. Build a following through the companies. I think it's a great way to get exposure and to, get your work seen. But at some point, you should be trying to do something on your own. Now, if you don't write, then team up with a writer, and maybe you two can own it together. So this is, I threw a couple of commissions in here. So this is a grifter commission on gray paper. When he was working on the Metabaron book, there was a Yahoo group that we were all members of, and he would kind of feed us. I don't know if he was really doing them for us in particular, but we started to get little sketches and little doodles and stuff that he would do. And this is kind of maybe not exactly that time, but a little bit kind of what it looked like. All right, so let's see this one. This is from X-Men Wildcats Dark Ages. So he started this book. Unfortunately, he was just too slow. And by the time that they needed it, they just had to take it from him. So Matt Broom ultimately ended up finishing it, or he really did the whole book. I think that they may have shown this, but he worked on maybe 3 or 4 pages. None of them past this one as an interior, as far as I know, ever were finished. But it's really, really cool stuff. It's very Star Wars. It's just super epic looking. This is Savant, and Matt Broom did a real nice job on the story, but, seeing this, you just kind of go, oh my gosh, it would have been really cool to see him draw this story. And the original version of this, actually, I'll point this out too for people that don't know, like the eyes were red. This was red right here. This was red. This was red. You can see it if you actually look real closely, but there was red paint in here. Kind of like how I said with those, the him getting brave. These were red. These pipes were red. You can kind of see, like right here, this right here, where the ink is darker. He blacked it all out at some point later. This was red, and I don't know. I kind of like the red version better. This looks great. I mean, if this is the only version you've ever seen, there's nothing wrong with this. But yeah, the red kind of worked for me, and maybe just because I was so used to it. And then this is from X-Men Wildcats Golden Age. But kind of an interesting piece because the story, was set in World War II, but this is very much obviously future forward, and again, kind of gives me Star Wars sort of vibes. Really, really cool. Again, you've got kind of the like a lot of Star Wars inspired Travis tech, we'll call it. I don't know if Travis was into H.R. Giger at all. I don't know where he got the pipe thing from. All these little like motor looking things. They're real cool. All right, this is Travis and I from Wildcats Volume 2. This is the last page from issue 2. The big signature in this panel. Kind of hurts me to see this. I would have signed it down here. This is a little intrusive. But yeah, I remember at the end of this book that they were really, really hounding us for pages. DC had bought the company maybe a month or two earlier, and their thing was, oh, we're not going to change anything, but all of a sudden things started to change pretty much right away, which I knew would happen. Yeah, so unfortunately we started getting rushed, and it's ultimately, I think, why we ended up not doing more on the book, is it just got uncomfortable to have to work at such a fast pace. Because the original goal was we were going to do a book every other month, and honestly, it probably would have taken a little bit longer than that, but the quality would have been really great, I thought for something like that. I know Tom McWeeny has expressed this on Facebook and some comments and stuff like that. They were constantly trying to get this guy to do like variant covers and all this other shit, but then they would demand, get your books done. And it's like, well, which is it? Because, if you want him to do a variant cover that's going to be colored, well, it's going to take him a while, and then he's not going to be working on the book, and you can't get mad at someone. But he had his own issues with that too, in terms of squandering time. So he's not completely not at fault, to be clear. If you procrastinate and run out of time, that's on you. So a little of both, a little scoop of this, a little scoop of that. This is a Star Trek piece, obviously, done probably in around 1998. I'd say. It's not signed with a date, but yeah, I would say 98, early 99. The C23 cover that we've seen. So C23 was a Wildstorm title. He did 3 covers for it. They're all really, really cool. And this was C23 #1 cover. And it's nice. Really, really good. He started getting into Drew Struzan, which actually made his stuff really cool and added a new thing. And then this is another Divine Right cover, I was nearly sure. I was trying to guess. I think that this is Savant. I don't know any other character. I mean, it's definitely not Zealot. I don't think. But, yeah, it might be Savant. It's really, really cool. Really interesting look to the pants. Like, they look like they're made almost of rubber or something like that, or wetsuit material. They're real thick. Like, the folds are so chunky, it really gives them a beefy thing. And the boots are cool. Very whimsical tech. I mean, I had talked about how much I like Terada's tech in the or Tanaka's tech in the Cannabis Works video, but this stuff is really influential to me too, on top of Star Wars and Alien and a bunch of things that are probably the more original sources of these shapes. But yeah, there's like just a fun kind of whimsical quality to it. Okay, so now we're going to go into another folder. This is going to be cool. This will be fun. I think funner for me to watch back too. So I'm going to grab some Space Girls. Let me grab these. This. Grab a couple of color ones. Yeah, in the other video, I really had no space girl, and it kind of seemed like a shame. So it's like I'm a perfectionist, but you know, I mean, obviously, when you're doing YouTube, I have lower standards of what I consider perfect YouTube because I'm not I can't sit and do intros and all this stuff. It would just take too long. So this is one of the last uh, pieces from the first series. He has a volume 1 and volume 2. So this is 56. He's up to I think around 80 something now, 85 maybe. There was a few that dribbled out over the last like year or two, but he's definitely not working on this. And in fact, we'll start to look at the Millar stuff in a minute, which is his most recent stuff. This is really really nice. You'll slowly start to see over a period of time his ink line getting more scribbly and looser. Not so much in these, but as we move the other direction. But let's this is another one of the color pieces towards the end. So these are the epilogue pieces that he did. Really really cool. Very very detailed. Oh my gosh. Even Travis's structure, the structure of his faces has changed over time. He started out with a more normal face, slowly perfected his sort of take on the Jim Lee face with a little bit of his own aesthetic. And then, as you saw in like Wildcats 15, 16, how it got more graphic. And then, X-Men Wildcats is only like two and a half, 3 years later. It changed again, and then by the time we were doing Wildcats together, it had changed again. The structure was starting to become a little bit more naturalistic. Metabaron is the same thing. We're going to look at Metabaron right after this. Metabaron was done while he was working on these. These were done for fun when he wanted to just cut loose and not be sitting and painting and stuff like that. I think he said when he posted these that they're about actual size. So if I was going to guess, I would say a Space Girl strip is maybe 8 to 10 inches wide by about maybe 2 or 3 inches tall. I've never seen one in person, so I don't know that for a fact. I think maybe the books are to size, so maybe they're about 2 inches wide. Kind of like Space Girl is like a little bit of like a Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers kind of thing. It's like a classic adventure story and traveling through space on a unusual planet. This is really cool. Seeing a piece like this, it reminds me too to mention this because I usually will throw this out. Travis actually does have a cartooning quality to his stuff, even his line. And his line will remind me at times of, meaning his ink line will remind me at times of like Charles Schulz or Bill Watterson. I see it in his work. And you might go, wow, it's weird that you would see it in something like this, but I do. It's a similar line. It's like, it really reminds me of Peanuts the most, more than Watterson. But I think, because Travis and I are approximately the same age, and I think we just grew up on the same stuff, because we're both big fans of Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, I'm not saying that he is now, but I mean, I think that he was interested in that when he was a kid. Star Wars, things like Peanuts were really big. It's like there's sort of a checklist of like stuff that you were exposed to at those ages, Indiana Jones and all that. And it's just, they were actually good roots. Those were good seeds to plant in a young creative artist's mind. And so we got pretty lucky with that. And there was a lot of great art coming out in the 70s and early 80s. So as much as it sucks to get older, I think overall kind of benefit from it too. Man, this is great. Her face is so pretty. This is awesome too. Nowadays, not nowadays is like a old man saying something like that. What I mean is, there's a propensity now for artists to not really draw stuff like this. That they're going to go seek out some sort of reference that they're going to trace, or they've spent time creating 3D models in ZBrush or Blender or whatever they're using, or even pre-made stuff like Daz or Poser and whatnot. And this guy didn't use that stuff, man. That's it's like he would sit and just create this stuff. That to me is really cool, you know. As John Buscema says in the Painting with Fire video, anyone can trace a photo or anyone can copy a photo. It's no fun. He's like, if it looks like a photo, I don't want to see it. But you see how this has got like kind of a cartoony, sort of fun, almost like funny vibe to it? It just makes it cool. This is nice. And he actually has beautiful hand lettering, which people even emulated. It's funny because I had a friend growing up who had really nice handwriting, and so when I was about 11 years old, I just learned to draw like my friend David, or write like my friend David. I mean, like, so my handwriting is like me piggybacking off of his handwriting because he had such good handwriting. How I would see it is we would play Dungeons and Dragons. I would see his character sheets, and I was like, oh my god, because we didn't have the pre-made ones. We would write it all out ourselves. It's like, no one writes strength, intelligence, dexterity, charisma, constitution as nice as David. Need to learn his fonts. Okay, so we're going to head into... This is a really nice panel. We are going to head into Metabaron now, and then... Let me see one thing though really quick. Oh, commission style. Let's do the commission style real quick first. These are some odds and ends that are through a period of about 10 years. These are interesting. So this one was done in 2013, but this is kind of some of his space cop, space girl style thing. And these are really, really badass. Beautiful costuming. Just really nice guns, great space gear. This tank is just awesome. And these are the last glimpses that you're going to see of this. As he moves into his next sort of iteration, it starts to get rougher and more loose. So this was done, again, kind of in the Yahoo group days. This was one of the last ones that he did, actually. It's funny because I kind of remember it, and always wanted to see more, and kind of felt like this one was a little tiny bit of a miss for him. I wasn't crazy about this character down here. She's not bad, but it wasn't like his best work. But yeah, he had done Space Cops was one of the pieces. It was kind of a blue piece. He did like a Batman one. There was these really cool ones where he would do like Star Wars, Spider-Man, Superman, Indiana Jones, and stuff like that. And then this was kind of one of the last ones, and it just kind of didn't really click for me as much. It's still cool, but I mean, there's some real nice stuff there. The layout wasn't so good. There's actually a really nice Wolverine and Zealot one. This is interesting too. The reason that this is interesting is there's no line on it. Like, there might be a little bit up here, but this looks like it was all done with a brush, which really is kind of unusual for him. I haven't seen a ton of pieces where he only used the brush, but this looks like it was all done in wash, which I feel like that there was another Trinity piece that he had done at one point that kind of was similar, but if not, I just had never seen a big enough scan of this to realize that it was that there was really no like line to it, pen line, you know, rapidograph. It's kind of trippy. He's really good at laying down wash. Wash is actually, it's tougher to lay down than Copic smoothly. This is a real nice Nightcrawler piece. He did another one for a friend of mine, JJ Kirby, got a Nightcrawler from Travis that I don't think I've ever seen online. I don't even think I have a photocopy of it, but I remember around this time him doing a Nightcrawler for him as well. This is really cool. Love this Struzen, these Struzen-esque kind of scribble lines on stuff. I used to have Drew Struzan posters around my desk. I'll explain what I mean just really fast. So my desk at Wildstorm. Where's my brush? Oh, there it is. Let me grab a darker color really quick. So my desk at Wildstorm. What is going on? Computer's been acting up the last day. I actually had to do a major kind of overhaul. Oh, my tablet is way off. All right, I won't be able to do it. Anyway, I had 3 posters in a frame that I would keep around my desk. So they were in frames and they surrounded my desk. So like if this was my desk, my art desk, and I was behind it. I'm doing this with a mouse, and this is me sitting here. I had a poster here. I had one on the other side over here, and then I had one right here that just sort of leaned against my desk. And I remember one day Travis sat right here in front of my desk, and he was staring at one of my Indiana Jones posters, and he was there for a long time, long enough that I actually asked him, I'm like, what are you looking at? Like, what do you see? It was worth explaining. Like, it was worth a visual example, but I don't even remember what he said. But yeah, I mean, his observation skills and his ability to focus and retain stuff obviously was quite strong. Because most of the time he would draw out of his head, and that's not to say all the time. I definitely think that he references stuff, but the lion's share. So this is when you really started to see this new style coming in. This was a commission for a friend of mine that you can really see this like rougher ink line coming in. Even in here, it's just got like way more grit. Still very detailed though, but yeah, gritty. So 2013. So it's been a long time. Like for the last 9 years, he's been moving towards this new, different look. We'll call it, not new look, because you know, I've always said to people that you just have to sort of settle in and just kind of go for the ride and see where it goes, because you know he's just exploring different things. He must get a look in his mind and just want to see what it's like to do it. And then, when he's kind of explored it, I think to the extent that he's satisfied, then he seems to move on to something else. Now, this was done in 2009, but I had said in the other video that I shot that I would have swore that this and that tank piece that we looked at a couple of pieces before were done right at the same time. It was so weird because they're so similar. So he either... I had 2 theories. One was that just I didn't realize that 4 years had gone by between the two, which seems weird. The other is maybe it wasn't shared online. So maybe one was done and just never popped up. I find that hard to believe, though, because you would think you'd finish something like this, you'd want to show it, because, it's really nice, really cool. This is so Star Wars back here, this in particular. Again, great shoes, amazing guns, beautiful faces, cool armor. It's just all win. All win. And then we've got this. So this was done for Dark Horse. This would have been, I don't know, 2005-ish. It was a free poster that you could get at Comic-Con. They may have used it for an ad or cover. I didn't ever see it that way. But it was color. So he did the Struzen thing where he took this... under painting, we'll call it, like that's looks like it's all graphite, maybe some wash, but mostly I don't know. It looks like there's graphite on it. I'm not 100% sure if he did wash too. And then he sprayed it with an airbrush, like orangish red, and then we'll go in with colored pencils and pull things out. And this is similar to the stuff that he was doing while he was like when I was a part of that Yahoo group, and he would share little like vignette pieces or montage collage pieces of just different things. You'd get like again a Conan, a Hellboy, and Darth Vader. Very random, but they're always really cool. All right, so now we're gonna get into Meta Baron. Let me see one thing really quick right here, if there's any goodies that I missed in here. I don't think any of these are that. Well, here, I'll show this one since I was talking about. This is kind of one of the pieces that this wasn't the first one that he did. I kind of remember the first one had a rabbit. It was pen and ink. It was a rabbit, Spider-Man, Superman, and maybe Indiana Jones or Luke or something like that. And then each one kind of got more interesting. I love the way that he actually rendered Indiana Jones on here. This right here in particular is really, really awesome. His Superman's cool because it looks like a Travis drawing more than like it looks like Travis. It doesn't look referenced, like it's not Christopher Reeves or something like that. It looks like his Superman. I like that. I didn't pull up any of the Captain America covers, but he's done Star Wars covers for Star Wars, and he's done Captain America covers for Marvel. But I knew we would be getting pressed for time, so I didn't want to get too crazy with that. Okay, so this is the Meta Baron, Weapons of the Meta Baron, I think it was called. He worked on this from about 2000 to 2007 or 2008. Did about, geez, how many pages? I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 pages, something like that. Uh, they had, I think Janjitov finished the book. It was written by Jodorowsky. And Travis's pages are great, but he was just, I don't know if too slow or just got in over his head, but he wasn't ultimately able to finish it. But it's really, really killer work. I feel that this stuff has aged incredibly well. I liked it when it came out. I like it more now than I ever have, and that's a good sign. I think is that the best stuff kind of improves over time. It doesn't get worse. You don't go back to it and go, oh, this isn't as good as I remembered. For whatever reason, this stuff seems to have amplified its awesomeness. But it's incredible. His ability to do this stuff is just phenomenal. Phenomenal. And, here's something that I want to point out, too. What I like about this is its storytelling. It's panel to panel work. There's people that do commissions in this style. There's people that do covers or pinups in this style. I'm bored with that stuff. I'm into storytelling. I'm into panel to panel stuff. I like to see artists really get pushed and pulled and have to draw things like this, a back view, someone, just at weird angles doing stuff. This is 1,000 times more interesting to me than just, someone standing there facing you on a cover or some little scene that you're never going to be able to really get a full story of. It's just like a little bite of it. This stuff is cool to me because you're in the movie. You're getting to see these characters act and move around a scene, and you get to see the inside of the castle, and you get to go down the stairs with the characters. That to me is interesting. I have the color version of this page too. So he would finish the pages and they would look like this, which is pretty insane. So he would do a complete gray wash pen and ink painting. It's hard to see from this scan how much of it is line work, meaning the ink line. He may just have been outlining some stuff, and then some of the tech and stuff like that might have been, but I don't know how much of his hard line. And then he would paint over this, so it was a very, very time-consuming process. But man, this is great. The color is like insane too. So we'll get the black and whites first, and then we'll get the colors. This is great, too. God, look at this vista right here. Now, this he may have used some sort of photo reference for, but if he did, it really looks cool. It's funny because Jay Lee kind of approaches some of his stuff like this. It's not as detailed, but that weird kind of, I don't know, you call it, like, it's a very sharp line. But look at that. Oh, my God. It's just a world unto himself. Again, this is what I'm talking about with the storytelling being just so cool. Meta Baron starts to get like electrocuted. It's like it starts to blast him, and then this crazy thing is going on. You get this, him finding the sword and then reaching out to it. I mean, it's just so cool. This is an interesting choice to have the panel this direction. There's a part of me that would have thought that it would go well. I mean, not based on anything other than. And maybe it was switched in the book. It's possible that it was. I can't remember now. That seems more like what it would be. And for two reasons, though, is generally in a bottom panel, I like to send the viewer going out the page this way because they're going to turn the page. So having it like this, the other way, I'll explain what it does in my opinion, which could have been intentional by Travis too. This makes you stop and look at it. So this is almost like a roadblock here. You take in the action, and then he freezes you here and almost sends you back to really focus in on the sword. So again, this could have all been instinct on his part, but both work. This works even better in some ways because it does make you sort of stop on the image, but he still leads you out the page with this black arm. So really nice. He's very creative with his layouts. Always has been. once he got good at it. This is great too. This is kind of towards the end of his pages, sadly. This almost reminds me a little bit of what is it called? Keeper of the Master or something like that. Frizzato. Frizzato stuff. Some of these characters, the color on this page too always reminded me of Frizzato. We'll see it in color in a minute. But he used like a real icy blue a lot. But man, this is so cool. Another grayscale. We'll see the color ones. I think this is the last grayscale that I pulled up. So nice that he shared these though. So this is really cool. Meta Baron coming down the stairs and going into this crazy like room. I love the silhouette panel. This guy getting electrocuted here is so cool. Or he's like on this like electric like bed. You got the weird Mobius, Jodorowsky sort of geometry stuff going on. This is crazy. This almost feels a little like a 3D model to me. I don't know if he just drew it in a more simple way, and so it feels that way. But this is the only thing that, like, kind of when I went back and saw this stuff, I was like, this looks a little like something like that. But it just could be just it's very accurately drawn because none of the other stuff really does. And he clearly could draw this stuff. I mean, this is like really nothing for him. So I think it's just more the look of it. It looks like like a that kind of thing. But man, I remember he posted a little piece of this when it was like nearly done. It still floats around online, and I think that like there's a sketchbook version of Meta Baron. It's got a few bonus pages, and you can see this when it wasn't completely finished. But this is so badass. Oh my god, he's so good. He's so freaking good. Look at that. That is great too. He does this material, whatever material he considers these costumes, like, it just looks so awesome. Okay, let's continue, friends. Oh, did I open it twice? Yes, I opened it twice. That's weird. Okay, so here's some of the color versions of these. So yeah, he took those grayscale things and then put color right on top of them, and man, is it nice. No, do I have the books in here still? I might have pulled them out. There's another artist that worked for Humanoids that was definitely influenced by Travis. I think I took the books out of here, but he's really good. So this is interesting. You'll see two different versions of these panels. There's three tight shots of like the Meta Baron and his dad, and another version that I think I have here. This is so cool. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Magical. So this is nice. I'm happy that I did a second version of this video. These are the original panels. And it's cool because Patreon now gets a second video of Travis. They are quite different, to be honest. The other one's got more information, I think, in it. This is so good. God, these characters are insane. I'd mentioned in the other video, though, that Travis definitely said that when he was a kid, he was a fan of Richard Corbin. His uncle, I think, had heavy metal magazines. And so he'd seen Corbin's stuff. And you can definitely get a little bit of a Corbin vibe from his work throughout the years. Not just because it's a bald guy. Look at this. Oh my god, the colors on this are so good. God, that is incredible. I mean, that is just so good. So epic. It kind of looks like Travis, honestly. Give him his fancy hair, and it looks a little like him. Oh, this. See, and this looks like Frizzato. That's what I was saying. It's like this one has a little tiny bit of a Frizzato vibe to me. This too, but I mean, it's just that European graphic novel stuff. Man, I love the colors in here too. Are really nice. God, these pages must look insane in person. He was working oversized, that might have been, I mean, it might have helped him actually draw the pieces, but it also may have really extended the amount of time that each piece took. Now look at this in color. Whoo. I love that. Man, it looks so good at night. Oh my god, look at that. It does look way better in color. I mean, I can't remember. I'm nearly sure the lightning is in the other piece too. Might not be, but I think it was. Maybe not. Maybe it wasn't. Sometimes he puts the lightning in the grayscale. Sometimes he doesn't. And look at this. Woo. He actually sent me a photo of this one when he was nearly done with it, to show me the size of it. And I was like, oh my God. It was really cool. He actually would send me little previews of the book. Not even little previews, finished pages, as he was working on them. And oh my God. I was like, this is so cool, man. I don't know why I grabbed two. It's weird that there's two of those. Oh my God. I remember when he sent me this. I couldn't believe it. Like, oh my gosh. I like his break from this was to draw Space Girl strips. And look at this. This looks like right out of a movie. It's insane. His interpretation of like outer space is so good. This like crystal coffin thing that the Meta Baron is insane too. Like a little blur on that is nice. This page is missing. I'm nearly sure he had like 4 pages stolen from the Meta Baron offices, and so this and a couple of pages before this are gone. This is incredible. It's such a beautiful page. The armor and oh my God, it's just off the charts. Awesomeness. And again, it's the storytelling makes it so exciting as you get to see multiple shots of this stuff. You know, the action. He's really good at that. I mean, he doesn't get a lot of credit for his storytelling, but he really, when he's on it, he really is great, because this is awesome. So this guy gets smacked, then it comes back and smacks him again, gets him again, flips him over. You've got this great sort of moment where they face off, and he throws it into him, and then just does that. I mean, that's pretty insane storytelling. Yeah, you think so too, Kitty? I thought you'd like that. But yeah, man, it's just sick. Oh, and this. Yeah, so he had sent me this when this was done, in color, not the black and white version. I could not get over it. This bottom panel in particular. Look at that. Man, that is just cuckoo. Oh, sorry. Super Fun Sunday is going to be super fun. Better late than never, right? Okay, and then this is the grayscale version of this. And you can find, I'll have links to his main page, TravisCharestArt.com, and then also his Twitter, which he's more active on than Instagram. All right, now we're going to get into the Millar world and wrap this up. I think I've gotten everything. Yeah. Okay, so this is the stuff that he's been doing over the last, like, 8 years. And you'll see the whole evolution of his work. They'll be a little bit out of order. I'll actually try to go in order for this a little bit. So this is a Spider-Man piece that he did. This is a long time ago, though, now. This was a real long time ago, actually, because, man, I'm going to say this might have been over 10 years ago. 2012, so it was 10 years ago. So you're starting to see the backgrounds look maybe a little more like photo referenced or something like that. The inking starts to become a little tiny bit more rough. It's starting to creep in and just sort of change into the new thing that he's up to. He draws the best cars, man. Tom McWeeny talked about, like, he and I've seen him do it too. He just will put down like a rectangle, and then he can go in and really just draw the shit out of cars. It's really crazy to see, but he'll just put a vanishing point, his rectangle, and then, man, he could draw great cars. Always has been able to. You can see all through his Wildcats. Oh, we'll get to these in a second. This was, I guess, something from Millar World. I don't know the characters. It's a very weird team. There's dinosaurs and jets and tanks and people on horses and a sports car. Reminds me of when Jim came up with Divine Right, and it just looked like a grab bag of, like, it's like, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. Put it all in one book. There'll be time travelers. Bada boom, bada bing. So this is 2000. What is this? Hard to read. Maybe 2014, 13. Can't read what it is. This was a while ago. Kind of Has a little bit of like a Wolverine vibe. I like this guy. He's cool. Costumes are nice. Yeah. Here's the black and white of this. Again, you can see the ink style changing. So I know that he lays stuff out in Procreate or some sort of digital program. I don't know. It seems weird to me that he would. I can't imagine that he's drawing full pages on the size of an iPad though. That seems like it would be hard. He may though. I don't know. I have no idea how he works now, but I think he draws it digitally, prints out a blue line of it, and then inks the blue line, or light boxes the blue line, or something. But yeah, it's not exactly the way that he used to draw. Because I mean, he used to draw like kind of like Silvestri, where they lay it out on the one board and then draw it on one board. As far as I'd ever seen, I never saw him light box stuff. And you know, nowadays technology, I mean, it makes sense to lay stuff out digitally just because you can move stuff around. I mean, he's got a YouTube channel where you can see some of his process, but those I think were finished digitally. Most of these are have an original board, but again, the backgrounds to me, they either look photo referenced or from photos. It doesn't. I mean, there's just a weird attention to detail on them that you wouldn't make up. And this is Batman and Catwoman, obviously. But this is an original piece. This sold a while ago. Colors are cool. I like this like warm light hitting Batman here. But I'm only guessing his process. I honestly have no idea. So I'm just what it looks like. Okay. This is a Catwoman piece. This is kind of like the old school costume. It's cat's funny. He always drew good cats. He used to have cats. Oh, look at that. So cute. And this is actually like, you know, looks like his older inks to some extent, and then in here you start to see the thicker lines. Again, I'm trying to kind of go somewhat in order so that we look at the newest stuff last. This is crazy. This is so nuts. Man, the color of this traditionally, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. That's the thing too, is we take for granted, but like there's a lot of problem solving that goes into coming up with how to approach something like this. Because you can have the idea, you can go like, oh, I want the glass on the buildings to have like reflective light. It's a whole nother thing to go in and actually be able to pull it off and not have it look like a complete train wreck. You start putting too much blue or too much of the yellow like in a certain spot, and all of a sudden, you know, you've thrown off all the balance. So it's hard to do. Really difficult face shots too. This is a gnarly upshot to have to draw and make it look work, and even this too is really like high level of complexity. Nice hand, glove. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure who this character is. It's after them. It's when I glance at it, it reminds me of the Predator. Not exactly, but kind of. I'm sure people know. All right, let me see what we got here. This is another cover. This one almost has like, it reminds me of like Brian Stelfreeze or Dave Johnson. It's kind of graphic, but then parts of it are more realistic. Well, I don't want to go full screen just because of. This was 2020, so this was done about 2 years ago. Okay, that's like a real recent one. So this was another one done for Millar World with that kind of like, they're more zany designs. I don't know how else to explain it, but like this feels very 80s or something like that. The hair, the clothes and stuff like that. And in color, you kind of get a little different sense of... So this is called Space Bandits. But yeah, I don't know if this ended up being a comic book or what it was. Really cool gun. Oh my gosh, that gun is great. He always draws his characters in perspective. They're never like flat. They're always, you see how the feet are going into space. This one is going into space. Helps keep a sense of like dynamics to it. So, Okay, so we're going to look at this and then 3 pages from the Millar World book that he did. So this is a Spider-Man cover that he did recently. Um, it actually sold on Heritage, like literally I think a week or two ago. Went for a lot. A lot. But yeah, he's always done a pretty cool Spider-Man. He used to draw him thinner, and then he started drawing him a little bit thicker. Like he's got a little more meat on his bones. You can find, if you like actually just search for Travis Charest Spider-Man, you could probably see like the different iterations of Spider-Man that he's kind of gone through. And I think like within the last 2 years he's done maybe 4 or 5 Spider-Man covers. I remember there was one with like a little girl and like him lifting like a big piece of machinery or something with like all kinds of rock and rubble and stuff like that. But yeah, this is nuts. Okay, now we're gonna look at the Millar World stuff. So this is a double page spread from it. I don't know the title of the book, and I don't know anything about the characters, but it's essentially this like woman and then this little boy, and I think she's like a robot because on the other pages we get a sense. I think this was a little out of order. I think this was the first piece that Travis shared from it. He shared it on Twitter, and you know it's really detailed. Um, you know, it's crazy. There's like all this, and then characters. It will be really nice to see him. I mean, I'm hoping that it's at least one like 60-page book. I don't know what Millar has in mind, and then what Travis will end up completing. But it would be really fun to see him draw like 3 or 4 comics. If they could get 60 to 80 pages out of him, it would be pretty neat to see him get back into storytelling. And look, I mean, the thing is when you have to draw sequential art and panel to panel storytelling and stuff like that, it just naturally brings things out of your art that even if you're intending on going one direction, your survival instincts will kick in and you end up having to just like it's almost like you and the work create an agreement of what exactly it's going to be. Anyone can do 2 or 3 pages a certain way. When you get to page 18, 19, 25, page 50, you know, you've created a relationship with the story. But this is really interesting. So they're in like a kitchen, and all of a sudden the wall opens and these, you know, M&G sort of poles show up with little stands. Then they ride them down into the room that we just saw. It's very weird. I don't know if that's like a mom and a kid, or, well, unless maybe they're both robots. I don't know. And then this, she becomes some sort of superhero. Kid's mind is blown. And then he's a superhero too. So that's the new book that they're working on. Again, Millar may have said the title, or the title may be out there. I know that one of the comic book websites had these pieces up also. And maybe there was information that I missed when I was just trying to grab the files so that we would have the most current thing. Because these are easily the most recent things that he's released. And so you get an idea of where it's all gone. But this is really, really detailed. I mean, he's definitely not messing around working on this stuff. And again, you know, him doing 22, 40, 60 pages worth of this, it should be really, really interesting. Hopefully they get some great colors on it. And yeah, it'll be fun to see him do it. All right, so that's Super Fun Sunday. Hopefully that was interesting for people. And you had a good time checking out some Travis Charest. Please support him at either of his 2 sites. Definitely check out my Patreon, and you can find when I uploaded the new Travis video, it said that there were 6 Travis videos on my Patreon. Well, I always stress my Patreon has somewhere between 600 and 700, maybe even creeping up to more videos on it, and they're not just book reviews and artist reviews. There's a lot of tutorials there on inking, penciling, drawing, heads, anatomy, perspective, you name them. It's all there. You've got a couple of days to creep in and get the $1 tier. Next month it does finally go up after me warning everyone for probably over a year. But yeah, anyway, so have a great day, and go check out some Travis and then get your draw on. All right, later. Bye.